All right, folks, let's get into it. There's plenty to unpack after Tuesday night's game, and we're looking ahead to that preseason test against Middlesbrough on Saturday, plus the massive return leg in Athens next week against Panathinaikos in the Champions League qualifiers. But first, let's deal with the aftermath of that European clash. The truth, it was a decent result for Rangers, no doubt. Not vintage stuff, but solid. First half, I won't lie, was pretty bang average. Lacked tempo, lacked sharpness. But the second half was much improved. More urgency, more intent, and of course helped massively by the red card. And listen, that red was spot on. 2 yellows, no complaints. First one for a dive, then a proper foul on Finlay Curtis. Easy decision for the ref. But let's not just skim the surface here. Let's dig into something a bit deeper, a bit more uncomfortable for some, and that's this culture of sentimentality that's been strangling this club for far too long. It's this attitude of holding on to players for what they did years ago, not what they're doing now. We've had a major issue at Rangers with failing to move on from the past. Players still getting starts, still being protected, still being praised, not because of what they're bringing to the side today, but because of what they did in some European tie 3 or 4 years ago. That kind of thinking is dangerous. It's holding us back. And if Russell Martin's going to make his mark, if he's going to be a success at this club, he needs to break from that. He needs to cut the cord, and this is where it gets controversial. Because whenever you bring up James Tavernier, you get this wave of abuse. You're a traitor, you're a Tim, you're this, you're that. All because you dared to question the captain. You can't have a rational football discussion without someone losing the plot. Look, I've supported Rangers my entire life, nearly 4 decades. And I've watched plenty of other clubs through mates, Leicester, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal. You name it. And not one of them has a player so protected, so bizarrely worshipped as James Tavernier is by a section of our fan base. It's cult-like, genuinely, like he's some holy figure beyond criticism. Suggest dropping him and it's like you've insulted someone's religion. It's madness. And let's be brutally honest here. Tuesday night he was poor again. Not the absolute worst, I'll give you that, but close. He was out of position, caught ball watching, sloppy in the defensive third. It's not a unny off. This has been happening regularly for 3 seasons. People are just choosing not to see it. And then we've got Max Aarons, a proper right back, being forced to play out of position at left back just to accommodate Tavernier. Aarons clearly struggled on the left because it's not his natural role, but even then there's folk saying, well, Tav played better than Aarons. Right, let's flip it then. Put Tav at left back and see how he gets on. Spoiler, it would be an utter disaster. The second Aarons was switched back to right back, he looked a different player. More assured, more confident, instantly involved. That's where he belongs. Meanwhile, Tav looked miles off it. Let's just say it plainly. Tavernier should not be starting the big games. Not in Europe, not against Celtic, not against the better sides in the Premiership. He's simply not up to it anymore. He's lost a yard, or to defensively, he's unreliable, and the argument of, well, he gives us something going forward just doesn't hold up. That's not his job. He's a right back. His first duty is to defend. You want to use him further forward, maybe as a right midfielder, or even off the bench to change a game, fine. But playing him as our main right back week in, week out in high-stakes matches, it's not sustainable. And before you come at me with he took us to the Europa League final, let's have it right. That was years ago. He's aged since then. That version of Tav doesn't exist anymore. You can't live off past glories forever, by that logic. Let's bring back John Greig because he won us the Cup Winners' Cup in the 70s. It's a daft argument, and honestly it disrespects the rest of that Europa League squad. Guys like Ryan Kent, Glenn Kamara, John Lundstrom, and Alan McGregor were all massive in that run. It wasn't some one-man show. McGregor pulled off save after save. Lundstrom scored the goal that got us to the final. So let's kill that myth now. It's painful to say, but Tav has been 3 seasons past his best, and yes, he was a loyal servant. He gave a lot to this club. But football's about what you're doing now, not what you did then. And if Martin's serious about success, he needs to be brave and drop him. And no, the captaincy isn't a barrier. You can hand that armband to anyone. Suter, Raskin, Barisic. Anyone can lead on the pitch. The truth is Tav's influence has declined. His defending's been suspect for years. Every single manager who's clung to him has eventually been sacked. There's a pattern here, folks, and yet the Tav loyalists still act like he's untouchable. The kind of folk who'd rather finish second to Celtic every season. As long as their golden boy stays in the lineup, the same people who'd rename the club Tav FC if they could. That's how detached from reality they are. And do you know what's really frustrating? We've actually got a top-class right back in Max Aarons. But instead of building around him, we're squeezing him out of position just to keep Tav in the 11. It's not logical, it's not professional, it's a loyalty issue, and it's killing us. Tav isn't just underperforming, he's actively weakening our back line. His defensive lapses cost us time and time again, and when you say that, people lose their minds. But look, I don't care about the backlash, the abuse, the name-calling. It comes with the territory when you go against the cult. But let's be real. A lot of those folks slating criticism would rather lose with Tav than win without him. That's not loyalty, that's delusion. And if Russell Martin's serious, he needs to put the team first. The best players should play. End of story. Now let's talk about some actual positives, because there were plenty on Tuesday night. Joe Rothwell was absolutely immense. Playing in that deeper midfield role, he was everything we've been crying out for. Calm, composed. Always. Scanning, always thinking forward. He gave Raskin the freedom to push up and influence the game in the final third. And it worked. Raskin had more space, more time, took more shots, played more creative balls. And that all stemmed from Rothwell doing the dirty work behind him. He's like a metronome in that midfield. Wins the ball, recycles it, quickly starts the attacks again. It's exactly what Russell Martin wants in his system. Possession-based football, high-tempo aggression and transition. And Rothwell is the quarterback of that system. Everything starts with him. In American football terms, he's the playmaker. And we haven't had that kind of presence in the middle since what maybe Davis at his peak. Compare that to what we had last season with the likes of Lundstrom. Sideways passes, backwards to Goldson. Lateral ball to Tavernier. No urgency, no verticality. It was slow, it was easy to defend, and it killed any kind of momentum we tried to build. Rothwell changes that. First instinct is forward. He's scanning for options up the pitch, not behind him. He sets the tempo, drives the rhythm, and gives us a platform to attack from. He was the best player on the pitch for me, and if he stays fit and keeps this level up, he's going to be absolutely crucial to how we play this season. It's no surprise Leeds fans raved about him. They said we were getting a serious baller, and they weren't wrong. He's got the experience, he's got the composure, and most importantly, he's got the winning mentality. Twice he's lifted the English championship. He knows what it takes to win things, and that's something this squad has been lacking. For too long, we've had players who are comfortable being second, used to coming up short, accepting mediocrity. Rothwell's cut from a different cloth. He's a winner. And that kind of mentality is infectious. The more players like him we've got in the side, the better. Let's carry on, because we're just getting started. Still loads to unpack from Tuesday's match, and one of the biggest talking points beyond Rothwell, beyond the Tavernier saga, is that we might, finally, have a manager willing to put real trust in youth. I'm talking, of course, about Finlay Curtis. This lad's only 18, thrown into the fire of a Champions League qualifier, and yes, I'll be honest, the first half was a bit rough for him. He struggled to get involved, misplaced a few passes, maybe looked a little overawed. But honestly, what do people expect? Think back to yourself at 18. Would you have been calm and composed in front of 50,000 fans in a high-pressure European night? Of course not. That kind of atmosphere would rattle anyone. But here's the key. He grew into the game. Second half, completely different story. He showed bravery, intent, energy. He got on the ball more, he ran at defenders, he wasn't scared to take players on. And most importantly, he got his goal. That goal meant more than just an equalizer or a stat. It symbolized something. It was a message that if you give these academy lads a real chance, they will step up. Not all of them, not every time, but some will, and Curtis looks like one of those. He's not just some academy kid making up the numbers. You can see it. He has the hunger, the drive, the fire. He cares. He's been at this club since he was just a boy. This is his team, his dream, his life, and when you wear that badge with that level of personal pride, it shows on the pitch. He chased everything. He played like it mattered, because for him it does. That kind of desire can't be faked. You either have it or you don't, and Curtis, he has it in spades. And look, I've said this for years now. We've been sitting on talent like this, ignoring it, burying it under bank average signings who come and pick up a wage, go through the motions, and disappear after a year or two. Meanwhile, lads like Curtis, like Bailey Rice, like Paulmcio, like Cole McKinnon back when he was here, have barely had a sniff. No game time, no starts, no development. It's been a disgrace. And I genuinely believe that some of these lads would give us more energy, more effort, more connection to the club than half the senior squad. Why? Because they bleed blue. They've grown up dreaming of wearing this shirt. They're not here for a paycheck or to use Rangers as a stepping stone. They're here because it means something, because they love the club. And I'll say this. There's nothing quite like seeing a youth academy player make it, nothing. It's the same as watching a young lad who's grown up in the system come through the ranks and then score in a massive game for the first team. You can spend £10 million on a flashy signing and sure they might produce a moment of magic. But when it's one of our own, that's different. That's special. That's Rangers. Curtis proved he belongs in the conversation, and if Russell Martin's serious about building a long-term project, then giving these boys more minutes has to be part of the plan. You can't just say you care about the academy. You have to show it. You have to prove it with actions, not words. Curtis earned the right to start again. Simple as that. Now let's shift focus slightly, because another massive standout from Tuesday night was Jack Butland. Let's just put this out there. The guy was outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. He made for maybe 5 top-class saves that kept us in that game. And yet you've got these absolute nutters online, the same ones, who refuse to hear a bad word about Tavernier, acting like Butland doesn't deserve credit. That's his job, they say. He's just doing what he's paid for. Honestly, that kind of take is beyond embarrassing. Yes, it's his job to stop goals, but there's a difference between routine saves and what Butland did. These weren't simple straight-at-them bread and butter saves. These were reaction stops, full stretch dive, split-second decisions. The one where the Panathinaikos player had the whole goal to aim at and Butland somehow gets a hand to it, that's elite. That's the kind of save that wins you ties. And let's be clear, Butland last season was a disaster. No one's pretending otherwise. He looked like a shadow of the keeper we thought we were getting. Mistakes, low confidence, bad positioning. It was all there. But this season he looks different. He looks focused, sharp, composed. And that's credit to Russell Martin as well, because whatever's happened over the summer, whether it's coaching mentality or just a fresh start, it's working. Goalkeepers are built on confidence. Without it, they crumble. Butland crumbled last year, but now he's got that swagger back, that belief. And if he keeps this level up, we don't need to go looking for another number one. We've got him already. This is a guy who was once knocking on the door of the England squad. This is a guy who has played in massive games, who's got the pedigree. We just need him to stay consistent and stay fit. And you know what, I'm rooting for him. Because when a player bounces back from criticism and proves the doubters wrong, that says a lot about his character. Butland didn't hide. He didn't sulk. He put the work in and he's performing. And it's about time the support gave him the recognition he deserves. Now, speaking of giving credit where it's due, let's not forget about Kasama. What a player this lad looks like he could become. I touched on him a bit yesterday, but honestly every time I see him I get more excited. He's got pace, power, intelligence. He doesn't just run for the sake of it. He makes smart runs, finds pockets of space, draws defenders in. There's a maturity to his game that you don't always see in someone his age. If he keeps progressing like this, we might have unearthed a real gem. And all of this, all these young talents stepping up, all these performances we're seeing, it points to one thing. Russell Martin is actually implementing a system, a philosophy, a style of play, and that right there is what's been missing for years. Since the end of Gerrard's time and the brief flashes under Joe, we've not had a clear identity. Under Beale, chaos. Under Clement, disjointed. Under McAllister, Ferguson, whoever else took the reins, in between, no pattern, no shape, no structure. It was just get it to someone and hope they do something. But Tuesday night, especially second half, you could start to see something resembling a team, a collective, a game plan, passages of play, cohesion, movement, the beginnings of a proper footballing identity. And that for me is the most encouraging sign of all. Because you can buy all the players in the world, you can have a squad full of talent, but if you've not got a system that brings it all together, it means nothing. Martin's trying to bring that. The midfield pairing of Rothwell and Raskin, that could be huge. Rothwell gives you the base, the anchor, the organizer. Raskin brings the legs, the energy, the forward drive. It's a balance we've not had in years. For too long, we've had midfielders doing the same job. Sideways passers holding players who don't actually hold anything, or attacking mids who drop to deep. This feels different. This feels like a plan. And you know what's funny, eh? A lot of these players who are stepping up now, Rothwell, Curtis, Kasama, even Butland, weren't getting much love a few months ago, but they've turned it around. And that's the beauty of football. Things change, players evolve, and the ones who are willing to put the work in to fight for their spot deserve the platform to shine. Now let me just say something about the wider culture at Rangers, because this is a club with a proud history, a massive support, and huge expectations. But sometimes we eat our own. We pick favorites, we idolize players to the point of absurdity, and we shut down any criticism, even when it's fair, that needs To change, we need to be honest. We need to be willing to have tough conversations. Dropping a player doesn't mean you hate them. Calling for a change doesn't mean you're not a real fan. It means you care. It means you want the best for the club. Tavernier, for all he's done, is not beyond criticism. Neither is anyone else. The badge comes first. Always, if a player's form drops, he should be dropped. That's football. That's how big teams operate. It's not disrespectful. It's standard. And if we truly want to challenge Celtic, if we truly want to go deep in Europe, we need to raise the standards. We need hunger, intensity, leadership. And that means rewarding performances, not reputations. That means giving minutes to the guys who are earning it, whether they're 30 or 18, whether they're big names or just breaking through. Play the best team, always. So as we move towards Saturday's match against Middlesbrough and then gear up for that massive second leg in Athens, the big question is this: will Russell Martin be brave enough to make the bold calls? Will he trust the kids again? Will he stick with Rothwell in that crucial 6th role? Will he finally drop Tavernier and give Aarons the right back spot permanently? Time will tell. But if Tuesday was any indication, we might finally be heading in the right direction. Slowly, sure, but moving, and that's something to be hopeful about. We'll leave it there for now. That's your Rangers breakdown for the week. Keep the discussion going, and remember, no one's bigger than the badge. Let's keep pushing forward. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Whispers around Govan have grown louder after KIERAN Dowell's candid remarks made waves across the blue side of Glasgow. The midfielder, who has seen a roller coaster spell at Rangers since arriving, has let slip a glimpse into the intense cauldron that is life at Ibrox, and his words have tongues wagging in what some are calling a moment of brutal honesty, or perhaps a warning shot. Dowell didn't mince his words when describing the pressures that come with pulling on that famous light blue shirt. Here, or you please them or you're burned alive, he said, in a tone that's being read by many as more than just a throwaway comment. While no move away has been hinted at directly, fans and pundits alike have begun speculating whether Dowell's statement hints at deeper frustrations or even a potential parting of ways. After all, Ibrox has never been known as a place for the faint of heart, and for some players, the unrelenting spotlight can be just as fierce as the opposition on the pitch. Some insiders suggest Dowell's place in the pecking order has been uncertain under recent tactical shifts, and murmurs from those close to the dressing room point to a player who's grown weary of the heat that comes with every misplaced pass or dip in form. The comment could be a reflection of that inner tension, or perhaps a subtle message to the higher-ups at the club. Others argue it's simply a sign of his passion, a fierce competitor who understands the weight of expectation that comes with representing Rangers, especially when trophies are demanded rather than hoped for. Still, it's hard to ignore the growing sense that Dowell's words weren't said lightly. Whether it's frustration bubbling to the surface or just a lad telling it how it is remains to be seen. But in a city where football is more religion than pastime, such candor is bound to raise eyebrows. No official comment has come from the club, and Dowell himself has remained tight-lipped since the remark. But make no mistake, in the ever-swirling rumor mill of Scottish football, this one's not going away anytime soon. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC, and don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.